and welcome to the Assay TV. I'm at Mining Indaba in Cape Town today as part of our investment series, and I'm delighted to be joined by Lerato Mataboge, who is the Deputy Director General from the Department of Trade and Industry of the Republic of South Africa. So welcome, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. And so the first question, so can you tell us more about your role in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade and what this means for the growth of Africa in sustainable development and why?
Oh, wonderful. I think let me first start by acknowledging how important and what a game changer the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is. What it does is it's a legal agreement that makes it predictable to do business with the African continent. So anybody in the world that wants to trade with the continent or invest in the continent gets predictable rules, which is what the agreement does. Similarly, any African that wants to invest and trade intra-Africa investments, it sets a predictable environment, and we also have a dispute settlement mechanism. So as a legal agreement that is an enabler, it's quite important. However, what we need to do as countries in Africa, we need to have strategic interventions that give life to the agreement, right? So in my case, or in South Africa's case, what we are doing is we're pursuing what we call an outward investment strategy. So we are mobilizing South African investors onto the continent to invest, particularly in infrastructure and manufacturing, to build productive capacity, so we can begin then to trade among ourselves. We are mindful that we are not trading because we don't have adequate infrastructure. We are not trading with each other because we don't have enough manufacturing capabilities. So the work that I do day to day and the strategy that South Africa pursues is to say, let's partner with the rest of Africa and let's build the capabilities to give life to the agreement.
Great. So just on that partnerships, so you have a wealth of experience in global policy. Are we seeing any shifts in policy for the development of Africa and prosperity?
Absolutely, we are, particularly linked to the whole climate change agenda, and the fact that, there's now more of a pressing need for, green industrialization, green industries, renewable energy sources and the like. So Africa then becomes a very important centerpiece of the conversation, because the bulk of the resources, the minerals that are required, for example, for the green technologies, majority of them are on the African continent. So it's important now that, the voice of Africa gets heard. Similarly, when we talk about renewable energy sources, whether we're talking wind, solar, hydro, geothermal, etc., majority of the resources would be in South Africa. I mean, in Africa. The amount of sunlight we get per annum, for example, that we could harness for solar energy. So Africa is pivotal. The shift is now to say, what would be Africa's response to this whole conversation about green industrialization, and how do we use it to bring prosperity to the continent?
So zooming out a little bit now, so what is your ultimate vision in terms of diversification, digitization, and decarbonization for the African continent?
The ultimate vision is for a continent that is not only a rule taker when it comes to setting the agenda for the world's prosperity and development, but a rule maker. I'm mindful that, some of the development trajectories and initiatives of the continent have to catch up with the fact that we must diversify very quickly. We must decarbonize very quickly. And we do need to digitize very, very quickly. But one thing that gives me comfort is that, one of our biggest resources is our people. So harnessing the talents of the African people in the diaspora on the continent, we will be able to leapfrog, and harnessing the mineral endowment that we have and channeling them correctly, we'll be able to achieve the 3Ds, as it were.
Yeah, great. And finally, so we're at Mining Indaba. What conversations do you hope to be having this week, and what is exciting about being here for you?
I'm looking forward to particularly two specific conversations. One happening later on today, which is the first day of the Indaba, the African ministers' conversation around shaping the trajectory of Africa's green industrialization and what that looks like, and particularly the outcomes of those. I'm looking forward to how do we use those outcomes to the conversation in the G20. as an Africa collective, because as you know, South Africa is the president of the G20 at the moment, and we'll be having a G20 summit. So we do want to have an African voice and perspective represented at the G20, and the mineral conversation and the green industrialization is one of them. The second one is the conversation that's happening on the 4th, which is a conversation among the South African ministers that will give a view of what South Africa's own strategy around critical minerals is, and the contents of that. So that's exciting.
Yeah, all very exciting, and I'd be interested to see what the outcomes of those conversations are. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.